Iconic, The Economy of Certainty, An Introduction to the Typology of Islamic Legal Theory by Aron Zysow, Harvard University, Cambridge, Massachusetts, 1984. This new series deals with the most important iconic work within the Western tradition of Islamic legal theory. The title is The Economy of Certainty, An Introduction to the Typology of Islamic Legal Theory. It was first published 38 years ago and has been referred to ever since. In this introductory chapter or introductory video, I want to go through exactly what this book is about and a review of a modern day scholar. So, what is the economy of certainty? Aron Zysow's 1984 Ph.D. dissertation, The Economy of Certainty, remains the most important, compelling, and intellectually ambitious treatment of Islamic legal theory, usul al-fiqh, in Western scholarship to date. It continues to be read widely and cited, and remains unsurpassed in its incisive analysis of the most fundamental assumptions of Islamic legal thought. Zysow argues that the great dividing line in Islamic legal thought is between those legal theories that require certainty in every detail of the law and those that will admit probability. The latter were historically dominant and include the leading legal schools that have survived to our own day. Zahirism, and for much of its history, Twelver Shi'ism, are examples of the former. The well-known dispute regarding the legitimacy of juridical analogy is only one feature of this fundamental epistemological division. Since probability can enter the law in the process of authenticating prophetic traditions and in the interpreting of revealed texts, as well as through analogy. The notion of consensus in Islamic legal theory functioned to reintroduce some measure of certainty into the law by identifying one of the competing probable solutions as correct. Consequently, consensus has only a reduced role, if any, in those systems that reject probability. Another more radical means of regaining certainty was the doctrine that regarded the legal reasoning of all qualified jurists on matters of probability as infallible. The development of legal theories of both types, that of Zahirism no less than that of Hanafism, was to a large extent shaped by theology, and most significantly by Mu'tazilism, and subsequently by Ash'arism and Maturidism. Zysow's important work is published here in full for the first time, with updated references and some further reflections by the author. Now we move on to a review of a modern scholar. The modern scholar published this review, or he wrote it and it was published in the Journal of Islamic Studies. His name is Uwaymir Anjam. This is his extract. The publication of Aron Zysow's 1984 dissertation, The Economy of Certainty, An Introduction to the Typology of Islamic Legal Theory, in the book form with the same title, is an event in the field of Islamic legal studies. It has long been overdue. The book form is mostly a faithful reproduction of the dissertation, but introduces a few good bid'ah hasanas, that is, praiseworthy innovations, such as turning the useful but painful access to endnotes into footnotes, a more manageable pagination, and Zysow's brief addenda recapitulating recent research after every chapter. Its sheer erudition, whose complexity perfectly reflects the field it introduces, teeming with a tightly knit account of the fascinating riddles of Islamic legal theory, rich but never far from its central thesis, and suggestive of ideas worthy of new research projects, every few pages down, defies any attempt to summarize. If one must insist on recapitulating its thesis in a few words, one can hardly do better than its title, The Economy of Certainty. Rarely is the substance of a study so completely and aptly summed up in its title, nor is critique of it an easy matter, or even perhaps called for, to a work that has unassumingly defined the field for nearly 3 decades, and encouraged many more researchers without having exhausted its potential, A list of quibbles is hardly a worthy response. Finally, there is no lack of glowing tributes to it, which is both apt an introduction to a dazzling field and a pioneering work in its own right. I restrict myself, therefore, to pointing out a few selected themes that permeate it. Stay tuned for the full series and many more parts.